Hit the field, blast off, watch them all fall. This is AFC North talk. Got me hype, it's about to be a touchdown. Got the Ravens, Steelers, Bengals, and the Browns. Are you listening? It's time to get it hype. Tune in when the season poppin'. Yeah, we going live. Hey, knock 'em out. Ay, first down, going hard. Yes, indeed. AFC North talk. Let's go. Hey, AFC North talk.
Welcome to AFC North Talk. I am your host, Ace Boogie, joined by my four co-hosts, Sonny that represents the Ravens, Q that represents the Browns, J-Rock that represents the Steelers. Y'all know I represent the Bengals. Gentlemen, what's going on tonight?
Hey, man, it was a good night for me.
I think I was the only person that wasn't a good night for you.
Yeah, I'm about to say that. I had a very good Christmas.
I did the Simpson meme. I was there, and then I came right back over here. I was just over where J-Rock at. Now I'm back over here. Y'all had a good holiday, though?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I would say, Brock Purdy, you suck. You're terrible. I hate you now. Like, just had a chance to, make this division thing interesting. Now I'm out here praying on Brock Purdy and Mason Rudolph to get the job done because you stink, Brock. You're awful.
Well, you mean Tua and Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, Tua and Mason Rudolph. I thought that was what I said. But yeah, Brock Purdy, you are not real. No more MVP for Brock Purdy.
Yeah,
like I'm 4 interceptions.
They died on like the second interception, let alone 4.
4 of them. 4 of them. Each one worse than the one before.
Overstone, where you at, my boy? Where you at? Where the next Tom Brady?
He gonna try to call Lamar the next Tom Brady. He ain't got no more choices left.
Nah, he doesn't. Thank you guys for joining AFC North Talk. As you guys know, super chats are open, so feel free to drop those in. We are going to start off with the Ravens, and we'll talk about last night's episode, which Q kind of already segued into it, or last night's game. Then we'll talk about the Browns, and then unfortunately, we got to talk about the Steelers-Bengals matchup. But before we get into that, we have a couple of super chats here. Professor Chaos $5 super chat said, Ravens fans, don't get ahead of yourself. Most of the AFC North beat the 49ers.
Who didn't beat him?
I don't know. J-Rock, can you help him out with that?
I said except for us. I can't help you out on that.
I mean, I think it just speaks to the quality of teams that the AFC North puts forward, man. I mean, I can't think of another division. If you were saying there's another division that could probably tussle with us, you probably would say the NFC West, but nah.
It ain't been true this year. They ain't been able to tussle with us. Like, look, Brock Purdy, every time he plays on a good defensive line, he looks a little different. Even when he played the Steelers, looked a little different, right? Turned the ball over a little bit, right? The Cleveland Browns elite defensive line couldn't handle it. And then the Baltimore Ravens, a good defensive line, couldn't handle it. The Cincinnati Bengals, a good defensive line, can't handle it. It's not a secret what the kryptonite to Brock Purdy is. You just got to get to his chest, get to pressure him, and he's going to start making them decisions that made him the number 7 quarterback or 7th round pick that he was.
Yeah, Brock Purdy's numbers against the AFC North this season, he's got a passer rating of 72.3, 965 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 7 interceptions against the AFC North this season.
Bro, would it even be Kenny Pickett in this division? It's nuts. It's nuts.
Got another super chat here from
a different level.
Definitely a different level. Badly C. Strand Jr., $5. Congrats on the win, Sonny. Great win. I like Guru. He is interesting. But yeah, okay. I just read that part. All right. Come on, guys. No personal shots. We good with the super chats. Don't have to take personal shots at anybody. We got another one here from Ben Riley, $5 super chat. With the entire O-line getting a failing grade, in my honest opinion, a used condom could have protected Jake Browning more. You sent that on the earlier show that I had, man. You trying to get that take out there, huh?
Used condom.
Hey, I get it. John Moore, $99 super chat. Appreciate that, John.
Hey,
What a
by the
wonderful
way, you know what it was. Jonah Williams saw that he had Myles Garrett in 3 weeks and was like, well, Myles ain't had a sack in a while. I need to get ready. I need to get ready for that one.
Sure, for sure. What a wonderful night on Christmas Day. He's obviously
Amazing.
talking about that Ravens victory last
Big
night.
shout out.
We will tap in on very soon. Gridflow $2 super chat. Mr. Irrelevant showed who he truly is, a bottom 5 quarterback. Yes, I don't
He's
know.
not a bottom
is-
5 quarterback. He's still one of the 12 best quarterbacks in the NFL, but it's just like, just stop putting this man in the MVP when he's clearly luggage. Like, he's clearly luggage. It's been like this. He's been luggage. That's all we've asked him to be is luggage. Hey, Debo, Christian McCaffrey, carry this. That's it.
And
He's
then
been
too,
luggage.
It's also about who you play. I mean, you got a team like the Ravens who can, and respectively, the Browns and the Bengals, with their defenses can mask some of the weaknesses that they had with though Pittsburgh we couldn't.
I don't know about that, man. I don't know about us masking anything after what happened on Saturday. I don't know if we can mask anything after that one.
It always look worse against your own division, though. Like it's never as bad as it does when it looks like against your own division, especially in the AFC North. Because I'm pretty sure Raven fans were concerned when they lost to the Browns at home. But then they play a team outside the division. The Browns had some losses in the division we were concerned about. Then we played like the Jaguars, and we like, we good. Like we know each other far too well. Look at the continuity in this division. Like that's it. The coach who's been here the lowest amount of years is Kevin Stefanski, and he's old enough and been here in Cleveland long enough to possibly get a second coach of the year. Like that's the level of continuity here, just ultra familiar with everybody, and everybody's so good and talented at this point that you just can't take too much away from these division games. For the exact opposite reason, you can't take a lot away from like these out of division games.
Yeah, they're just not used to the brand that we run over here. Tyrant with the $4.99 super chat. Now that the Lions have won the NFC North, there is only one team who wouldn't have won their division since 2002. I wonder who.
That must be a Bengal fan bragging about winning the division. Like that's the only fan base I know is to still do that.
We got is it Gagan or Gagan? I'm not sure. Hopefully I didn't mispronounce that, bro. $5 super chat. Browns schematically attack fly sweeps and zone reads in back-to-back weeks. Took 15 weeks, but it's over for the rest of the league.
Tears in my eye. They did it on the road too, dog. Tears in my eye. I was like, oh my goodness, we might do it, dog. We might do it. That was the one thing we haven't been able to do all year is attack these perimeter plays that teams like to do on us. And finally, we're not biting on it. And I think a lot of it has to do with our new secret weapon, JOK with the green dot. Starting to get him fully acclimated to this defense. It's starting to get scary.
Yes, sir. Austin Rich, $4.99 super chat. Joe Flacco beating the Ravens in the playoffs and ending their season will be more magical than any Disney/Pixar movie.
Hey, Sonny, man, I do not want to be you if that happens because, the Ravens fans will be saying ridiculous stuff.
I already look. The team that I don't want to face is around because of that possibility, right?
I can see it happening to
you. You don't ever want to lose. You don't ever want to lose to the old quarterback, man. Like look, Ace ain't trying to lose no Andy Dalton, like in the playoffs. Not even trying to let that happen.
The crazy thing is, Q, in Baltimore, most people are rooting for Flacco. They're rooting for Flacco to do good because they still like Flacco, right? But they're also, don't want the Browns to win, and they're conflicted here. They're like conflicted.
Oh, nah. Y'all can't be that conflicted. It's got to be you sticking with the Ravens. You're not a Joe Flacco fan.
No. You pulling for the Ravens. I'm saying
they want the good story for Joe, but right now it's like, hey, this story might get too good. Hold on, wait, slow it down. Like, we still trying to win the division.
It would definitely be a mix of emotions. Like I said, coming from somebody that lives and that's from Baltimore, it definitely be a mixed emotions of people being happy and that being mad at the same time of Joe Flacco kind of like not being able to do it while he was here. knowing the reputation that he had, and then go to somebody like the Browns and beat them in the playoffs.
Yep.
It's like with LeBron and me. I was all for him getting to the finals. I wasn't about this him winning another finals after he played with the Cavs. I was like, hold on now. Hold on. Slow that one.
Nova Stone, here he is. He's making his debut here. $2 super chat. Q and Ace doubted the Ravens D. Roquan and
I'm not letting him get this shit off.
Hold on. When did I doubt LJ? I've never on this show ever doubted
Nobody stop. He said
think-
me and you were doubting Lamar Jackson. We were the only people out here advocating for him to get the max.
Yeah, he needed to be
this.
signed.
Stop this. And then two, don't try to flip flop, Nova. Don't try to come out here and flip flop. You were the one that doubted the Ravens defense because you were thinking that Brock Purdy was about to dot it up. And we know Brock Purdy not that guy.
If there was anything on the Ravens defense, I definitely didn't doubt them as a whole unit. The only thing I had doubt on that I remember was the cornerbacks, and they've proven me wrong. Like I don't think there's anything else that I had question marks on the Ravens defense as a unit at all on. Roquan, I've never even slandered Roquan.
No, that's for me. That's
that's
Yeah,
the only
he's
thing.
That's for
grouping me in on the Roquan slanders.
Look, that Roquan slander is for me. And I'll still keep it because I ain't see Roquan get any of them interceptions out of here.
Almost won.
Almost. Roquan, almost Smith, baby. That's what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Hey, but you know who did? You know who did get one of those interceptions? The best linebacker on the team, Pat Queen. You know who did get one of those interceptions? The best defensive player on your team that I've been saying since week 2. Kyle Hamilton. So, Raven fans, where's my respect for telling you early on that Kyle Hamilton's the best player on that defense? No, you're disrespecting Roquan. I was putting Roquan where he belonged. Number 3. Number 4. He's not my bouquet either.
Oh, wow.
$6.99 super chat.
Oh, wow.
Dawson. Who would you guys start? I believe he's a Ravens fan. Who would you guys start on the 49ers, Purdy or Kenny?
I don't know because we've seen Purdy in this offense, right? Purdy's fine. Purdy's fine.
Come on, man.
This is crazy. All right. I know he threw 4 interceptions. I know he was bad in this game. I know he kind of stinks, but like this is what we do when we put a quarterback on the pedestal they don't belong to, and then they get knocked off of it. We throw them all the way back to 30. No, stop it. Stop it. He's clearly better than Kenny Pickett. Like this is crazy. Stop trying to no. Kenny Pickett would be terrible in San Francisco. And Brock Purdy would terrible, he would be terrible, but he wouldn't
be an MVP of fake.
Yeah, that's just not his system. That's not his style of play.
He still got to over the middle. He don't do that.
I mean, that's true too. I mean, you also got to think he was handcuffed. A lot of times they would play safe. And I mean, we'll get into it later, but I mean, this game they didn't play safe. But we get into it.
Mason wasn't playing safe at all, for sure. Rod Chuck, $5 super chat. Cam Newton needs apologies. Purdy is 100% just a game manager, not a difference maker. Here we go with the game manager thing. He didn't manage.
We ain't never going to talk about. We ain't going. You don't throw 3 again. We just be saying stuff like 4 interceptions is not what happens to a game manager. 4 interceptions is a dude who just be throwing shit. Like that's what happens when you pressure Brock Purdy and he can't get to the right answer. Like he's just going to start throwing shit. Like a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL.
Okay, I'm gonna pause right here. The super chat queue is still going, so definitely feel free to send one in. But let's start off with the Ravens at the 49ers. It was a massacre. It was a statement game from the Ravens, so it's only right to toss it to Sunday to go ahead and start this off, bro.
Okay, so this was a good game, right? The Niners look. I've been saying for the past weeks. That every time we play, specifically in the later part of the season, against out of the division matchups, you can see the difference in physicality. That wasn't the case with the Niners. The Niners are a physical team. This game came down to turnovers. 4 picks. Look, the Niners defense is good because even with 4 picks, we kept scoring field goals more than touchdowns. So we ended up winning by 2 touchdowns. We were up by 3. That last touchdown, it was almost a given. We were playing prevent and all that. I hate the prevent defense. I understand why we all do it, but I always feel like there's gonna be a touchdown to be made. Interesting thing, one thing that the Ravens did different in this game. Millette was injured, and I've been saying Millette's been the target for the past couple weeks. They kicked Marlon Humphrey inside. And that I think made a big difference. They put Darby outside. Darby played a fairly good game. Kittle was the one for them that went off for a little bit out there on the safety, Williams. And you also had Stevens had, I think, one of the roughest game. But it was also in the later part of the game with Ayuk getting a bunch of yards. But it was in that fourth quarter. Before that fourth quarter, he was kind of quiet around the game. Run defense, look, McCaffrey was running fairly well in that first half. In the second half, they did make some adjustments. They stopped McCaffrey, and then we pulled that big lead in the third quarter, so they also move away from the running game. That'll help against the run. On offense, Lamar was great. Like, he was, like, dodging people right in the pocket, avoiding sacks, finding the open receiver, keeping the play alive. I think Lamar had one again. I think in the past couple of weeks, he's been having the best games of the season. It could be because he feels more comfortable in the offense, more repertoire with the receivers. We had a lot of new receivers. Likely, he's getting more comfortable as a starter. The O-line played fairly well. We're still doing the flip-flop with the tackles, which is kind of different from what people do in the league, right? We're pulling both tackles out and putting 2 new tackles. It's definitely when you see more pressure when you see Fahalele there. But even Fahalele, to be fair, he's been playing fairly good. I was afraid in this game, that D-line for the Niners, right? The first quarter was a tone setter for the Niners. But when we took that first pick, that turned the momentum, right? Because they're just coming from a safety, right? No. The pick happened before the safety. We picked the ball and then we give them back for a safety, right? So and I actually think that was Purdy's worst pick. Like, he threw it there. It was kind of like floating there. Kyle Hamilton read that play perfectly. He picked it. The rest, I mean, Humphrey batted that ball, and then Hamilton picked it. We had another batted ball by Stevens, and Marlowe picked that one. And the Pat Queen one, I forgot the D lineman that hit him. They hit Purdy, and then it was just straight to Patrick Queen. I thought he fumbled at the end, but he put that butt cheek just enough before that fumble. I think the Ravens, look, the other thing is that they were pissed off in this game. It's not easy to win on the road. It's not easy to win against the Niners on the road. But they were pissed off because a lot of people are basically saying, nah, they don't have a chance. They don't stand a chance.
Man,
And they
one
took
person
that
said
personal.
that.
Well,
Mike
no.
Florio.
Florio
Like,
did say that, and they took that as a bulletin board. But if you see how the picks were coming in, it was a
A lot
good
of people was
7 to
picking the
10.
Niners.
It wasn't split.
No. It was
Oh,
mostly people picking the Niners. It was like at least 70% people picking the Niners.
I mean, it was a home game. 49ers been playing well.
Yeah.
But the one person who took it to the extreme,
It was Florio.
Mike Florio, who said it won't matter. And I
They would
quote,
get clapped.
if this is a Super Bowl preview, then the Super Bowl's gonna suck.
Yeah.
Oh,
He said
wow.
we were gonna get clapped essentially.
I mean, he be doing that clickbait stuff, man. Florio is known for that, man. He gonna throw something out that's gonna get fan bases riled up. I don't doubt that other people weren't picking the 49ers, but a lot of what I heard was like, this is the game of the year. Like, these are the
Well,
best
yeah,
two teams
you
in
have
the
2-3
NFL.
lost teams this late in the year, but and I agree. Home game as Niners. For me, I was like, if it is competitive, right? If we lose on a tough one, I mean, it's a must win next week, which it still is because Miami won. If you want that top seed, but I was like, it's gonna be hard. I always say going east to west, west to east is hard, and then you're facing the Niners. People are saying the Niners are the best team. And what I saw from Purdy, The thing is with Mr. Purdy, as soon as there's pressure, he gets excited. He gets excited, and then he essentially. I think he was. We started with pressure with Purdy, and after we started with pressure with Purdy, he was anticipating the pressure all game. So essentially, he was going 1-2 reads for at most is what I was seeing. I haven't gotten any much like the 22, but in the game, what it looked was like 1 and 2 and let me throw it. 1 and 2 and let me throw it. He didn't want to wait in the pocket because he felt like he was gonna get hit every time. And the Ravens, and praise to McDonald's because we do pressure the quarterback, blitzing, not blitzing. This defense has to find a way without a big name person, although Maravika has become that guy, to have produce pressures and QB hits and sacks. So look, the Ravens played a complete game. A complete game. I'm not gonna lie. In the fourth quarter, when they scored that touchdown, I was like, "Damn, come on, don't make it interesting, right?" But they didn't. Again, Lamar played a great game. Running game for us wasn't there. They have a great running defense over there in the Niners. But you know who was in skates over there? Mr. Warner. Mr. Warner got put in skates in that
Ooh,
one play. Lamar was there, and he's like pointing at Warner as he's just passing him by.
JOK
War-
would never.
Warner, I think Warner had a solid game, but I think him playing better. This is not me slandering Warren. Warren is a hell of a player. I think the Ravens play a complete game defense and offense. I do like the Marlon Humphrey on the slot because right now we don't have a better option on the slot, and Darby is better on the outside than anybody that we can put inside in the slot. So I think that is a good recipe moving forward.
All right. Let me read two super chats and I'm gonna throw it to J Rock and then Q. Ben Riley, $5 super chat. He says, actually, I think the Titans could rock with the AFC North based on how they play.
That's
I
like
don't know that.
thinking.
Has he
That's like
watched the Titans lately?
that's like that's like thinking Wrangler jeans can hang with Levi's just because they kind of similar. Like the bootleg version can't live up with the original. What happened every time the Titans come in? Man?
Will
Come
Levis
on.
might get cooked in this division. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
they,
saw.
realistically,
They
ain't
can't even
really
play
been good
bully
like that
ball.
since Eddie George. So
They can't play bully ball in the AFC South, which, by the way, I would like to point out Kevin Stefanski, 10-0 versus the AFC South. So, like, no.
And then Ryan Tannehill would be lunch in the AFC
I would
North.
love to play Ryan Tannehill every year, though, like twice a year. Yeah, give me that. Give me that. Yeah, don't let Mike Vrabel and that mustache fool you. That is a team trying to cosplay as an AFC North team. That's not a real one.
For sure. Elite Dragon $2 super chat. Sonny, we should lose to Miami so we don't have a 2019.
Now, look, I think Harbaugh won't let the team slide in that week, but you will see people resting that they have injury. Like Ronnie Stanley, obviously, he's not right, so he will not play, right? And a couple other guys, but no, secure that number one seed. You don't want to make it interesting, and then
Hey,
come week 18 or 19, 18. Play hard against the Steelers. I get at least 3 quarters, a half to 3 quarters, because at that point it doesn't matter if you win or lose, and then you pull it. You don't wanna have two buys. I don't think you
But
want to have two
do
buys.
you risk that, Sonny? Like, say for instance, you guys had a number one seed locked in. Do you
Yeah.
really want to subject some players to an injury in the AFC North game?
Anybody
they
that
don't
is
want
hurt sits.
Like, I'm not wishing an injury, but I feel like anytime like any of us play each other, there's gonna be an injury in that game.
I know. So anybody that is nick or hurt sits. The problem is we all have PTSD of 2019, and in 2019, what happened was we look rusty coming out of that game, and then we look back and we're down 2 touchdowns, right? So we don't want to be rusty. I think at least you play a half. But if like Kyle
Gotcha.
Hamilton, right? Kyle Hamilton right now is dealing with a sprained knee, and even in that game at the end, I was like, shit, no, he's out. But it looks like he's gonna be again day to day. So he comes against Miami. If he plays and we win, I don't want to see him against the Steelers. We have it locked. Why would you want to risk more injury with him? Anybody like that, you sit, right? Anybody that is dealing with I'm just pushing through because we're trying to make a run for the Super Bowl. Those people sit. Ronnie Stanley, like those people sit. The other ones, I think should play at least a half.
well, you don't have that luxury right now either way.
No,
You can't lose to Miami and then risk losing that Pittsburgh game, because if Cleveland wins out, then you lose the division.
Well, but
like,
that's what the Super Shatter is saying. Like,
yeah.
lose to Miami and then play hard, right? So you don't have to sit. But then you lose to Miami. Miami's driving seat
Miami's
for the
the
number
1
one
seed,
seed.
right?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
no, you
Miami
don't want to do
Pittsburgh
that.
still might come up.
Because I think what they're trying to avoid is the bye week, right? They don't want the bye week
The
and
double
like,
bye, the double bye. Yeah.
And it's like you got to play for the rest of the season anyways. Like, unless like if Cleveland loses on Thursday night, then you might have those options available to you. But until something like that happens, like, you just got to plan to play.
Yep.
Yeah.
And speaking of the Steelers, J-Rock, what's your take on this Ravens 49ers game?
Yeah, man, I think it was a statement win for the Ravens, man. They went out in San Francisco and handled business. I had a couple friends that went out there and watched the game, and they was loving it, you know. So I think Lamar did a good job of pretty much taking what the defense gave him. I think he had a little issue starting off slow with his offense as far as like getting down the field and scoring. I think it was kind of like unfortunate how that whole thing happened with him and the ref, and him tripping over the ref and him eventually getting the safety. But it looked like he was going to kind of like get ready to throw it away anyway. But it would just so happen that he tripped over the ref and then he just had to throw it before he fell and got touched in the end zone. So like I said, that series of events was unfortunate. But the defense did what they needed to do, especially in the first half. They kind of like shut San Francisco down. They didn't get Baltimore pushed them, and San Francisco didn't get the offense that they was thinking that they was going to get as far as like running the ball with CMC, especially with those first interceptions that Purdy was throwing. I think that was a bad throw that Purdy threw, that first interception to Kyle Hamilton, because he kind of like read that all the way. And I think the other two in the middle that were like tipped, it's kind of unfortunate. I mean, that's kind of like what you practice as far as like in defense when you tip the ball to go and, try to catch that. It's called a tip drill. But I think that was unfortunate. I mean, that could happen to anybody. But I think offensively, Baltimore started slow, and then they turned it up in the second and third quarters. And then Zay Flowers, I think it was pretty cool watching Zay Flowers score that touchdown, and then celebrating them stealing Christmas from the 49ers. I think that was pretty dope. So, but yeah, Baltimore defense gave Brock Purdy the blues. Like I said, forcing 4 interceptions, and even with Sam Darnold coming in forcing an interception from him, and also accumulating 4 sacks. So,
yeah, for sure. Before I go to Q, my thoughts on this game, I think at one point I said that I wasn't sure if the Ravens were one of the top teams in the AFC. I think after last night and after the last couple of weeks, it's pretty evident that they are, right? Like, the AFC is open this year. One of the teams that looks like the most consistent is the Ravens. The thing that stuck out to me the biggest last night was the complete team. Not only are they able to do some things, and offensively, you could argue that they weren't as explosive as they could have been because you didn't see anything from the tight end. You saw mostly, from what I saw, it was a lot of Zay Jones, which is cool because, in my opinion, he's the best receiver there. But you didn't really get much from Bateman or OBJ. Not much from Gus Edwards. Like, you got the touchdown. I was kind of mad because he's on my fantasy team. So I was able to get 15 from him, but it wasn't a situation where the offense really needed to be there, right? Lamar does his thing, gets the touchdowns that's needed, but it was still like a blowout. It was balanced because you had guys on defense playing their butts off, helping out the offense, and it was a total team effort. And then you had, obviously, Justin Tucker coming in from the special team side. So it was a fully balanced team. Definitely looks like the most balanced team in football right now, and they are on a collision course with the playoffs with that 1 seed. We'll see where it goes over the next couple of weeks. But I thought the 49ers, when I first looked at the schedule, that was the team that I thought was kind of the toughest matchup for the Ravens. And they went out to San Francisco and really just made a mockery of them on national television. But Q, what were your thoughts on this game?
The 49ers, I'm not going to do that to y'all, Raven fans. I'm not going to do that to y'all. Baltimore's a good team. We knew this, right? Now, I wonder what kind of team could possibly do something like come back 14 on the road to Baltimore. That'd be a pretty special team if a team was able to do that kind of thing.
I heard this with the Steelers fans, too. Trying to take a victory lap on their victory.
Hey, Sonny.
Oh, yeah.
As impressive as this victory is, could you imagine a team that can win both of those games? You know what I mean? Like to be both of those teams. Again, we're only 4-11 win teams in the NFL right now, and man, for the Ravens to have 2 victories over 2 of those 11 win teams is very impressive. Could you imagine a team doing that with 4 different quarterbacks? That would be nuts. But hey, man, we're not talking about the fantasy world, right? Because no team could do that. But yeah, the Ravens are a good team. They have a good defense, and they had a great day. They seem really motivated, to be honest, to play this 49ers team. And that's the interesting thing about the 49ers, right? Can they withstand that motivation teams have to play them because they get not overhyped, but they get hyped up pretty easily whenever they have a good stretch. People tend to pump them up. So when they're on your schedule, boy, are you excited to play them. And, let somebody like Mike Florio say something incredibly stupid before you play them. Then, you get this playoff level effort from a Baltimore team. And that's the real question about San Francisco is like, hey, can they actually hold up when teams give them a real effort? Another team that came in and played San Francisco like a playoff team, I was kind of joking about this, was Cleveland, right? Cleveland came in and said, nah, this must win for us. We need this. We're gonna reset the season after beating you. And they could not handle that pressure, right? Their offensive line is kind of a liability. They can get away with it most weeks, but they kind of don't have the offensive line you would expect. Even Trent Williams quietly is kept. Not the same Trent Williams, right? A good version of him, but not the greatest left tackle in the world anymore. So they have some holes on that offensive line that you can really take advantage of. The Ravens did a great job of it. Like McDonald, hats off to him, man. That is a future head coach. Like, he's young too. That's a future head coach. You're not going to keep him long. And thank goodness for that, right? Because he made Wink Martindale look like an absolute scrub. Okay. And Wink was good. So yeah, they made the right move moving off Wink. I think that one made sense. That was a move we kind of questioned a couple of years ago when it happened. But you're looking at this and you're like, nah, TJ McDonald was the guy. That was the right move to make. Wasn't he from Michigan?
He was from the Baltimore. He's been growing in the Baltimore system, and then he left to Michigan to be the DC for a year. And then we threw Wink out, and then we brought him back. But he came from the Baltimore system.
Jim ain't nothing without his brother. But, he does a great job there. He's getting the most out of pieces, knowing what to do with guys like Pat Queen, Kyle Hamilton, Justin Madubuike, and having a steady hand there like Roquan Smith kind of to moderate it all. It's a really good combination using those four and just really getting a lot out of your corners, even though like it was a kind of a weird day for the corners, especially early on. They got a couple weird penalties, but I hate them shoulder pads. Like, I'm not gonna give Hump a compliment until he take them Madden 2002 shoulder pads off. Like, he look like Eddie George out there playing corner. This shit is ridiculous. Have you guys seen that? Have you guys seen Marlon Humphrey's game day fit?
Yeah, he looks.
It's
nice.
ridiculous.
He's like an old soul guy.
No, he think he on the 2002 Ravens. Like, he need to stop that. That's ridiculous. But yeah, other than Marlon Humphrey's janky fit that he be wearing out there at the game. The defense is doing a good job, and Lamar's Lamar. I've said this all the time, right? I've never wavered in this. I think Lamar is that top tier quarterback, right? Like, I've always put him up there in that elite category with Joe Burrow, with Pat Mahomes, as just a flat out game changer. You know why? He's his own check down, and he's an elite check down, right? That one play, it was like, 3rd and 16, where he got that incredible scramble before halftime. Only one guy in the NFL can do that. It's Lamar Jackson. That's the only guy who could do that. He was able to slither out of so much. He's getting to the points where he's scarily confident in the offense, where he's just throwing stuff that looks reckless, but it's working. So I guess it's not reckless. Like,
it looks like when Curry
looked like
shoots.
Look, when
design.
Lamar Jackson is playing at his absolute best this year, and I mean this as a compliment, it looks like Pat Mahomes. Right. It looks like what you remember Pat Mahomes doing, where he's like go back and look at that Cleveland game, the first one they played that year. And there's some Pat Mahomes throws in there where you're like, okay, he just went cross field and just hit Mark Andrews like he was Travis Kelce, or he just hit Zay Flowers like he was Tyreek Hill. Like it looks like that kind of stuff. Now he doesn't do it every week. That's the one thing with Lamar that I think people wish he would do more consistently, is that he doesn't do it every week. He gives you it in spurts, especially when he's extra motivated in the game. But when he's playing at his highest level, it's unstoppable. And I've been a fan of his game, and I just think NFL owners are so stupid for getting so caught up in the guaranteed money conversation that they didn't realize they was playing themselves. Because Sonny, Lamar Jackson, is he getting cut anytime soon? So guess what? He making all $260 million of that contract that you didn't want to give him $235 for fully guaranteed. Just played themselves. Worked out for the Ravens, but y'all just played yourselves, especially Atlanta, holding on to Desmond Ridder. Not even going to consider this. You fucking idiots. I hate y'all. Y'all could have just took him. You know what I mean? We could have been sitting here talking about is Joe Flacco the best quarterback in the North. We really could be here. Raven fans would be extra mad. How are they getting Joe Flacco? And then you guys are running out there with Tyler Hunt. But no. Y'all didn't want to upset Desmond Ridder. So we here. I hate the NFL sometimes. Want to prove a point.
Q, is DTR done for the season? I fear for Flacco with this O-line, says Mighty Mulatto for $5.
I mean, Flacco's been fine. He gets rid of the ball quick. Like the O-line's not really been an issue for him. DTR got hurt because he was doing like read option stuff at the end of that game, and he's super skinny. And he's not the starter anymore. So like, he got rolled up on. It happens. And like, it just ain't meant for him this year.
I want to know about Dustin Hopkins. Like, what's going on with him?
Yeah, he probably not playing till the playoffs either.
And Rex Fortune $5 super chat. Hey Q, I realized Kadarius Toney is Antonio Callaway 2.0.
I feel like Antonio Callaway cared more than Kadarius Toney, but Kadarius Toney's a better player than Antonio Callaway.
All right, now with that being said, we're going to pay some bills. And we're going to talk about our sponsor of today's show, Manscaped. Step into 2024 with confidence thanks to Manscaped, where resolutions are met and hairs are neatly kept. As the new year approaches, why not take and make self-improvement a breeze by keeping your body well-groomed? Introducing Manscaped's Performance Package 5.0 Ultra, the ultimate all-inclusive kit designed to help you feel clean-cut and confident as you should, featuring the powerhouse of the Lawnmower 5.0. This next-gen trimmer ensures precision and ease when tackling your toughest hair. So kick off 2024 with a trim above the rest and use code AFC North Talk at manscaped.com for 20% off free shipping. The Performance Package 5.0 is here, and let me tell you, it's got futuristic tendencies. Included in this bundle is a brand new Lawnmower 5.0. The Weed Whacker 2.0 is going to get rid of that ear and nose hair, and essentially aftercare products like the Crop Soother Ball, Aftershave Lotion, and Crop Preserver, anti-chafing ball deodorant, and 2 free gifts. Their 5th generation lawnmower features 2 interchangeable next-gen skin-safe blade heads, a standard one for taking it off of the top, and a new foil blade to go smooth wherever your heart desires. Did I mention that they're waterproof too? Manscaped also threw in two gifts for free: the Boxers 2.0 and the Shed 2.0 toiletry bag. Resolutions may come and go, but a well-groomed you is here to stay. With Manscaped's latest and greatest, start the new year off right, because when you look good, you feel good. Manscaped is helping you sculpt the best version of you. New year, new you, and definitely a new trimmer. Manscaped's got your grooming resolutions covered. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code AFC North Talk at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with the free shipping at manscaped.com, and use our code AFC North Talk. Happy New Year to your balls. All right. Shout out to Manscaped for that. We got a couple of more super chats here that I'm going to get through, and then we'll toss it to Sonny, who's running a little low on time, so he's going to give us the rest of his takes on the other 2 games. But back to his boy Nova Stone, $2 super chat. I picked the Ravens to win the Super Bowl in July. No flip-flop. Okay, Nova. You like a pancake, though. We know what time you on. You're gonna have to go back and double check, man, because you might have said the Ravens one week, you might have said the 49ers the next week. then you might have said Tom Brady jumped out of retirement and he's going to win the Super Bowl the week after that. Austin Rich for Q says JOK has been better than Roquan.
I don't know if better. Like I can't quantify the impact that Roquan has, being a steady hand for that defense. More impactful as a playmaker, yes.
All right, Sonny, you just taking that or
No? Look, the thing is, I think whoever the announcer yesterday, he said the thing with Rowe is he probably leads the league in tackles, right? But Q will tell me like I don't care about that stat, right? But this team definitely changed since Rowe has been here. You can call it whatever it is, whatever you want to call it. This team is different when he plays. This team is impactful. These team, like everything. There's defenses between McDonald and Rowe, right? But McDonald was here, and that defense was okay. But once Roquan started, that defense was another.
It seemed more aggressive too.
Yeah,
Right.
and he has embraced
Walker.
it.
Anthony Walker with good vibes is what we go with. Okay. The good vibes.
No.
The vibes have
Hell no.
changed.
Oh,
And then he
no.
walked in here and got so much better. The vibe is different.
Negative. So the thing with Rowe's always scalping the play, right? So and it allows Patrick Queen to play freely. One of the things people don't talk about, the reason why Patrick Queen has played better, and he has, is Patrick Queen just plays more freely. He blitzes more. They allow him to do way more.
Yeah.
He still gets exposed when he gets man on man. Pat Queen does, but Rowe is the one that has to go more in coverage. He blitzes less because he's putting everybody in the places to be, but he reacts and gets the person down, tackles for loss and all that. He's doing all that. It's just because Rowe is basically putting everybody in place, and again allowing Patrick Queen. Patrick Queen gets more of the plays that you would like for Rowe to get. But if you get Rowe in those plays, then you might leave a hole in the middle with Pat Queen. And then Pat Queen will have to play as he was playing before Roquan was there. And you will see more of the exposure. Patrick Queen has a lot of growth, but it's also because he's put in a better place. And Roquan is taking more of the stuff that Patrick Queen cannot do, right? So yeah, I think Rowe is the best linebacker in the game. To be fair, Fred Warner, Roquan, I love Fred Warner. He's a great linebacker
he's
too.
a Pat Queen babysitter, is what you're saying. Is Roquan?
Look,
Making
look,
sure.
I don't think PQ comes back next year. So
Okay.
I will be. I'll
We'll take-
see. I will want to see how he looks next year without Rowe.
Yeah, for
That's
sure. No,
so-
I definitely think he's had an impact on him. I remember something very similar, especially when because was he the Mike linebacker at first, and then he moved once you guys got Roquan?
No,
was he always
He was
a Will
never
linebacker?
than Mike. No, there was Chuck Clark, then Mike.
I saw something similar happen when LJ Fort stepped in for Peanut like in 2019. It's kind of a similar thing.
For sure. Gagging, I'm sorry, bro. $5 super chat.
I'm saying.
Falcons are the worst organization of all time. Owners. are too
Somebody
cheap
said
to
he's the
finalize.
linebacker version of Chuck Clark. All right.
Oh
All
my
right.
God.
Stop it.
That's
Stop.
nasty.
That's disgusting.
Nasty. Owners
That's
are too
gross.
cheap to finalize the Watson trade and said nod to Lamar Jackson. 28-3, man. 28-3. Sonny, let me get your takes, bro, so we can get you out of here in a good time because I know
Okay.
you're traveling right now. So want to get your takes on the Browns game and then of course the Steelers and Bengals game.
The Browns game is gonna be quick because the reality is I didn't watch the game. I watched the highlights. For what it looks like, that game went what I was expecting. When I saw no CJ Stroud, and hopefully the kid is doing good, right? I heard that he's progressing better. You just don't want somebody that young to be dealing with that. But Case Keenum or whoever the quarterback was going to be from the Texans, they were not ready for that defense. And I understand that the Browns' offense and line is not there, right? But the Texans' defense is very opportunistic. And when they have a good offense, they can feed out of the good offense, right? The Stroud was playing good, and then the defense can hope to sit back and do more pass rushing and all that. But when you're playing from behind, and now the Browns, You can play action. You can throw. Even though the run hasn't been like what it used to be, that team is not the same. The Texans and the Browns are a good team, and they're gonna take care of bad teams, right? Good team will take care of bad teams, right? So yeah, again, not that I watched the whole game, just watch highlights. So I'm gonna give it a buck here, but the Browns did what I expected the Browns to do. Now on the other side, being a Saturday game, national TV game, I did watch Bengals and Steelers.
Mm.
I'm here pulling from the Bengals. Just to ruin my dad. So J-Rock, I know you don't know this, but my dad's a Steelers fan. So he's here. I'm watching the game with him.
Oh,
I'm
man.
here pulling for the Bengals. And it wasn't competitive. Like I was like shocked. Like Brownie had his worst game, right? But the reality is all these backup quarterbacks will have games like this, right? You're hoping to get on the winning side of a game like that. I think Flacco had one of those games already, and the Browns were still able to pull it, right? So the problem is, as I said the past couple of weeks with the Bengals, that defense hasn't been playing great, but the offense has been able to carry them just enough to win these games, right? Which when Burrow went down, I was like, well, this defense, if they're still like a top of the league defense, they should be fine if this kid can be at least a game manager with the weapons. But the kid was, I mean, I know he had a bad game, but he had been surpassing expectations. But the defense didn't get the end of the stick, right? So finally he got to a game that the Steelers were able to get to him, right? Same thing that I said about Purdy. It almost looked like he was anticipating the hits. He was anticipating the pressure. And he had a very, very bad game. On the other side, who's this quarterback that the Steelers put out there, right? Mason,
The Red Nose Reindeer.
yeah, he
Montana.
and,
Mason Montana.
and then it was nasty because the Steelers fans were screaming Mason Rudolph, and they showed Kenny Pickett. The cameraman didn't need to do that. Kenny Pickett there looking all sad and pissed off.
Quarterback
But
controversy.
they're gonna get him on one that's like that. But I mean, it was one of the touchdowns he was caught like
Like
celebrating.
you can always tell when they like the starter because when something like Sam Darnold got in there, had a couple throws, they didn't show the camera of Brock Purdy looking sad, right? But I remember when Deshaun Watson had to get out that game and PJ made a couple throws. Boy, oh boy, did they find Deshaun Watson? Be like, oh, look at him, where's he at?
Right.
They don't like your.
If
they do not like your starter, dog. They will put that man on the Summer Jam screen at his worst moments of life.
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, that might have been on like a timeout or something. That probably had nothing to do with the game.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they'll replay it. They'll cash it. Be like, oh yeah, he looks sad here. Let's cut to that.
Now the other thing is the O-line of the Bengals look bad, and the O-line of the Bengals, and I will say this: the Bengals have tried, right? And I think the O-line of the Bengals have games they're like, look, this O-line is fixed, and then they will have games they're like, what the hell's wrong with this O-line? Like they are not consistent. Like the biggest problem I think with the O-line is they're not consistent. Zeus has been like that forever. He was like that with us. I think he was like that with the Chiefs, and he's still like that with the Bengals. But it's not only him; it's the whole O line, right? They're not consistent, and it also feels like, if you have one not playing great, and the other ones can pick it up, but it feels like when one is not great, they all feel like, well, you know what, we're all gonna suck today, whatever, right? So that didn't help. The kid that was on Pickens on that first touchdown. Pickens had a game. I mean, it wasn't like he had a ton of catches, but everything was explosive. He played motivated. The question is, can he keep that motivation, right? I mean, if you're the Steelers, because you're not out of the playoff, right? You're in the hunt, and you're looking at Colts and Texas teams that might fall. One of those will fall out. So you're looking to see if you can squeak in. Can you repeat this offensive performance, right? Because it's hard for me to see it because we're in week whatever 16, 17, whatever it is, and this is like maybe the second game that I've seen the Steelers have some life. Actually, it's the first game 400 plus with 2 touchdowns, I think, performance since a while. Look, Steelers, you play a complete game. The defense showed up, which is what they needed to do. That defense can't have breaks because as good Rudolph will look, he might have a next game similar to Browning, right? Like the Browning game that he just had. So if the Steelers defense keeps performing that well, and Mason Rudolph, then Mason Rudolph doesn't have to be a hero every game. Then he can just manage the game and throw, pick out his spots where to be good. They could have a shot. But overall, I think it was a great team win by the Steelers. I actually was very disappointed by the Bengals. Not necessarily because they lost, it's how they lost, right? Like losing to the Steelers, we talk about in here, like losing to any of us, even when one of us is down, it's no slouch. Like it's hard to win the AFC North. It's how they lost. Like they took and they took the spirit out of the Bengals, and it was it in Cincy, right? Wasn't the Steelers?
No, that was
It was
in
in Pittsburgh. Okay, so they took the spirit out of the Bengals. The Bengals looked like they had no fight. I mean, there were a couple good performances of some players, but still, overall, like no cap here. Like Pratt did not have a great game, but I also felt like my guy, and Ace knows I love him, so it's not to slander Wilson. Wilson looked slow in this game. Like he looked legit slow. I don't know if he was put in bad positions on that defensive side, but the linebacking core did not have their best game against the Steelers.
They didn't.
So look, and I'm not talking because I know through Twitter the whole the running back number 30 blocking Pratt, that was nasty. That was nasty. Yeah, but I'm not talking about that play. I mean, just overall, they did not have the best game. Anyway, I think the Steelers they can build from this. The Bengals can look back and say, look, we're not dead. It's gonna be hard, but the Chiefs just lost a game, right? And then we had the Browns, so they have two tough opponents, two playoff opponents. But can they win those two again? I think one of the spots, the Colts or the Texans, is gonna fall out. Can you retake that spot? Can be the Steelers, can be the Bengals. I thought there's going to be the Broncos, right? So one of those spots is still in the ether there, but obviously you can't lose anymore, and you cannot have that performance you have. If you have it, then you're done. Zach Taylor needs to do a little bit better. Lua on the room also needs to look back and see where were the mistakes that the guys got exposed and have a better game.
For sure. Got a couple of super chats here, and that's Sonny. If you want to drop out, feel free to whenever you want to, bro. I'm gonna go through the super chats. Yeah,
take it easy, guys.
Yes, sir. Shafiqul Alum says Mason Montana diced up so bad. Definitely did. We'll get into that one after we talk about the Browns. Speaking of Browns, got two super chats. Then we're gonna go to Q for that Browns game. Anime Tree, he's back again. Q. $5 super chat. I love this season. Cleveland is looking like a Super Bowl team. Is this Cleveland?
Yeah, that's no. This is the homeboy that tried to tell us to trade Miles a couple weeks ago. Yes. I appreciate you on the track now.
Yeah, Bradley C. Strand Jr. $2 super chat. Barry for GM of the year. Stefanski for Coach of the year.
Yeah, it's a very impressive job to replace 28% of your salary cap. Yeah, might get it all. Comeback player of the year, executive of the year, first place. Coach of the year. It might be a banner year for the Cleveland Browns. For a year, might get that AFC Championship. The Lamar Hunt might get the Lombardi too. Who knows? Who knows how far we take?
Talk to us about the Browns, bro. Talk to us about that game.
This is exactly what they needed to do. I came into this game saying, hey, look, you can limp out of this game and sneak into the playoffs with a good record and kind of fool everybody, or you can do what you need to do on the road and take care of a team that can be taken care of and prove to everybody that you're a true playoff contender. That's what they did. They were by the time Joe Flacco and the starters left this game, I believe it was 37-6 or something like that. Or it was pretty much a 30-point game. So they basically won the game by 30. Prevent defense with backups in at the end of the game. They gave up 14 points to Davis Mills. Is really not that big of a deal. But this is what they needed to do. Look, we knew what it was. I mean, I didn't make any myths about it. I had no respect for Case Keenum. He's food. I thought he was food. There's no way that you would like this defense can call themselves elite and allow a sorry quarterback like Case Keenum to dice him up. Like that's just not what it is. That was a Richard Sherman quote, by the way. But it's just they did what they needed to do on that side of the ball. I don't believe they gave up a single touchdown to Case Keenum, which is the appropriate amount of touchdowns you could give up to Case Keenum. Also intercepted him. Did what they needed to do. JOK is playing great. Everybody on the defensive line played great when they win their battles one-on-one. This is an unstoppable team because teams are spending so much energy trying to stop Myles Garrett right now. Right, they're sliding 3 people over. J-Rock, I saw 4 one time in a play this week versus Myles. Like, yeah, they're just like anybody else. And it's not even working, but it's better to them to do that than let Myles Garrett get loose. And even Myles Garrett, I thought he had a really effective day, got a ton of pressures. They haven't been allowing him to get acclimated in that pass rush game because they're just so terrified of him by sending multiple guys at him week in, week out. But what he has done to adjust to that is become an elite run defender, right? He's had like multiple TFLs in the last few weeks just off the run game alone. So he's making that adjustment and finding a way to be impactful. And then when teams have to do those kind of adjustments to Myles Garrett in a run game on top of the pass game, you might be able to get away with 3-man fronts if you're the Cleveland Browns because they're just going to send them all at Miles at that point. So defense played great. Joe Flacco, I thought he had his best game since the early 2010s. This was like some of these other games, there was some good stuff in those games, but there was some really concerning stuff in those games as well. This one was like, nah, like I usually point at the interceptions. The interceptions in this game, I'm like, yeah, they weren't that bad, right? He had the deep ball interception to Marquise Goodwin. If you're going to throw an interception, do it in opposite territory. It's not that big of a deal. Okay. It's like an arm punt. You gave up a possession, but you didn't give up bad field position. I can live with that. And then the interception at the end and a half, that's literally because they didn't have a kicker, right? Or else that would have been a positive 3-point drive. So Joe Flacco played great football. That throw to David Njoku for that touchdown was just incredible. He made some incredible throws in this one. Good connection with Amari Cooper in this game. Able to trust it, able to see it. Just being able to catch on the vibe of, hey, Amari Cooper's got to go off. They're sending him. They're really like, this is what I always talk about. Teams will trust these young corners against Amari Cooper, and it's the worst thing you can do because Coop is the exact type of wide receiver that will dice up a young corner. He's just smooth. He got that old man game, right? He hooped like an old man at the gym. Like he got the old man game with him. He gonna give you a couple elbows. The young fellas don't know what to do with that. Next thing you know, he's wide open down the field. 265-2 for Amari Cooper in this game, which is a franchise record. It's unfortunate for George Pickens because we be talking about him. He had like what 195 and 2? Yeah. Then Amari Cooper was like, nah, I'm gonna get like what 70 more. I'm gonna get 70 more. I'm gonna get a whole other game on top of that 195 you got right there.
And then Cooper wanted to go back in the game. I think they took him out the fourth quarter. He wanted to go back in the game.
The backup defense sold him, so we had to get him in there. He got his extra 20 he needed to break the thing. So yeah, Coop had himself a day there. And Joe Flacco did a good job making sure he got the ball to him on time. And this Browns team, they're rolling. They're a good defense. We know this. We were worried about them on the road. They showed that they could play a dominating game on the road. And that's what they needed to show. And Joe Flacco showed that he could play a game where he's not going to turn the ball over in critical moments. And if that's the kind of play you get out of him, and what I think is the most encouraging thing out of this is that this is Joe Flacco's 4th game, and it seems like he's starting to improve, which at 38 is not a guarantee that somebody's going to just start improving, right? Either the wear and tear of the game is going to kind of wear down on you, or you start to improve, and it looks like he's starting to improve and get comfortable with the pieces around him. Now, I'm not saying he's going to do stuff like this every week. That's never been Joe Flacco's forte, but if he can be capable of this and then tone down the turnovers in the games where he's not playing so hot, then the Browns could go a very long way with this at quarterback, with the way that their defense has played all year. And the Browns, one of the last 3 teams alive for the 1 seed right now. That's crazy. 4 different quarterbacks. Crazy year, great year. And they keep having guys step up. No kicker in this game for like a whole half, because not only did the kicker get hurt, the punter got hurt kicking the ball. So we lost the punter. We were down to DeAnthony Bell doing kickoffs. I don't know what we would have to do if we had to punt. So yeah, it was a little. It could have been much worse for the Texans, right? I think they were able to get some of these scores simply because we didn't have any kickers. But hey, still got the dub, still won convincingly. And the Browns, they look for real. We'll see how they come up on Thursday night. Still need to finish the job. Went on Thursday night. Then you get 10 days to play the Bengals, but see how they play on Thursday night. But right now, I don't know how you don't feel good about this Browns team.
J-Rock.
Yeah, like Q was saying, man, I think that the Browns handle business, man. I think that they look unfazed and that's sometimes unstoppable. I think the Joe Flacco had a very good game, even though he had the two turnovers. I think that they weren't necessarily his fault. I think the first one was kind of like a bad ball, to be honest, but I don't think it was necessarily totally his fault. I think the receiver could have made more of a play on that ball. And I think the second interception was more so like because they didn't have the kicker. I think they was in field goal range and they decided to go for it on third or fourth down instead of like going for it, which ended the half. But either way, Joe Flacco lit it up. I wasn't tired of hearing it, but I think every time I like looked down and then looked up for a second, the announcer was saying, Amari Cooper, catch to Amari Cooper caught it, Amari Cooper. So, I mean, Amari Cooper was going on, like you said, 11 receptions for 265 and 2 touchdowns. I mean, they didn't really have a run game. I didn't think that they really needed to. But, Joe Flacco controlled the ball. He did made good decisions, excuse me. He didn't make bad turnovers on too many bad mistakes with the ball. But they, controlled the ball, controlled the time of possession pretty good. I think it was unfortunate that their kickers got hurt. But I think it was good. It was a good sign for the short yardage offense of the Browns to see that they can convert 2 of the 3 2-point conversions that they scored those touchdowns. I think defensively they just brought the pressure all game, causing interceptions, 2 interceptions that game, and then sacking 3 times. So I think they wrapped it up. Like I said, a very good, well-rounded team. Obviously, one of the best teams in the AFC. Potentially one of the better teams in the AFC North. And I mean, I think, like I said, that they made a statement with that game. Even though the Houston's without CJ Stroud aren't the biggest opponents and the biggest threats, they still kind of like went into Houston and kind of like set the tone for that.
Yeah, I think the Browns have just epitomized the saying of next man up. That's been their entire, season, and they have just passed it with flying colors. A lot of people can talk about injuries. The Browns just show up no matter who's out there and make something out of nothing. It's almost you forget, like J-Rock is saying, no run game. Well, Nick Chubb isn't out there. So guess what? Amari Cooper,
Nick Chubb ain't out there. Both the starting tackles ain't out there, and the dude we had backing up the right tackle ain't out there.
Yeah. And guess what? 265 yards to Amari Cooper from Joe Flacco. Like literally like the 4th quarterback that this team has had. Defense is still doing its thing. I think, like Sonny has said, we kind of expected this, right? Like as soon as it came out that CJ Stroud wasn't going to be there, we knew this was going to be the result, but the result's still impressive because, as Q pointed out, if you were actually watching this game, no field goal kicker, no punter at points, like they were still able, no run game in this game, and they were still able to just blow this team out by 30. And this is a Cleveland Browns team that can beat you any type of way. It's going to be really interesting to see how their season plays out because they are still, like you said, in a runner for the number 1 seed with all of these injuries, with all of that salary cap on IR. And it just honestly is a tribute to the coaching staff and what they've been able to do with the cards that they've been dealt, keeping guys motivated, keeping guys going, and making this late season push towards the number 1 seed. We got a couple of super chats here. Codex655 says, how would the Eagles do against the AFC North? The way the Eagles been playing this season,
maybe number 3.
I don't think that they would fare too well in the division like that. Like the Eagles have not been super impressive. Ben Riley, they almost just lose to the Giants. Like it was kind of close. It was a little close for that game.
Every game they play is close.
Yeah, it's a weird thing going on over there.
Yeah, they ain't got that off. Their issue is more or less like their offense just they got to fire their OC.
Yeah, I don't know what's going. Hey, look, I'm out of the fantasy playoffs because of that OC. Between Brock Purdy and Philly's OC, Debo Samuel and AJ Brown, I'm sitting on the couch this week because of those guys. So I'm gonna need y'all to get it together. It hit a little different for me because it's like not only did the Ravens embarrass them, they shut Debo completely down and got me up out of there. So yeah, I'm mad at Brock Purdy with them interceptions he had, and also with Sam Darnold too. Sam Darnold just let me season another interception in there as well when he came into the game. But Ben Riley, $2 super chat here says Browning actually played better than Purdy. Yeah, I honestly thought Browning was about to have the worst quarterback performance of the week, and then Brock Purdy was like, "Hold my beer, dog. Come through here and take some of the heat off of Jake Browning for the worst."
I need somebody to auto tune that Jake Browder video into. They should have cut me.
Oh yeah, they were waiting for that because after that it was like, "This is why the Vikings cut you, Jake Browning."
You must have played like this in the preseason.
Yeah, Nova Stone $2 super chat here. He says that I ranked the D-line, edge room, and cornerback fourth, but no doubt. Number one, it's the North. So if you had another D-line other than the Ravens that you felt like...
Wait, preseason, yeah, everybody was putting the Ravens fourth for defensive line. That was a very defensible position. Madubuike had it emerge.
Yeah. So Nova Stone,
you're going to put them. They're still fourth in the AFC North when it comes to edge room.
No way you were putting that over Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Trey Hendrickson.
Fourth
I'm just hating.
Fourth at corner is kind of nasty, but I don't buy that. That's actually where Ace put him. But
CB fourth. I think I only did that because I didn't know who the second and third corner was. Like,
it was like Rocky Sin.
It was like Caillou Blue and like what are we doing? Like, come on, man.
Like all of the answers for the Ravens kind of emerged during the year. So like to be mad about preseason rankings when those rankings were perfectly valid when we did them. I mean, we all voted on the rankings and they weren't that different.
You know what I'm not seeing on this list? Linebacker and safety. Yeah, because they weren't fourth.
Nah, I don't know where I put the Ravens linebackers. I might have been trolling that week. Like, I ain't gonna lie.
You might have.
I might have had them. I don't think I put the Browns ahead of them. No, I had the Steelers at 4. So they probably
the Steelers at 4 too.
Yeah. Cole Holcomb. Yeah, it was. I wasn't with that train.
I think we all had Steelers at 4 for that. Dismiss for the $5 super chat. Appreciate that. 49ers were trying to figure out how to do a power outage in their own stadium, so they needed something. Sneak out.
Yeah,
that was embarrassing.
Yeah, Nick Bosa. Where was he at that whole game?
I don't know.
Chase Young, by the way, can we talk about how overrated Chase Young is?
Yeah, Chase Young didn't do it in that game.
Chase Young ain't do shit. Chase Young ain't been doing shit for a minute.
I think the only play he was in was that intentional ground and safety play.
Mm-hmm. The only play he was in, I remember he bit on a read option and ran straight at the running back and then let Lamar just tiptoe around him as if Lamar's not like athletic, right? Lamar not gonna pick that up and do nothing. I'm gonna just bear my head down to go at Gus Edwards. That's smart.
All right, we got this super chat. Then we'll go to Bengals, Steelers. Mac Dog, $10 super chat says, Q, did you hear Cowher say on the Fox post game that he's a Brown since he played and coached in Cleveland? And he doubled down when Boomer asked him to clarify. He said he's rolling with the Browns right now.
Ultimate disrespect. I hope he ain't say that.
Nah, don't try to come over here, Bill. No. I still remember what you did. No, Bill Cowher lied to the locker room and told her that we didn't let him run through the tunnel. It motivated the Pittsburgh Steelers to beat us like 56-0 on our opening day back for reactivation. Bill Cowher, you done picked Joseph. You drew the line in the sand that day, Bill. Don't try to come back here talking about I was an offensive coordinator in Cleveland. No, stop.
Wait. He played for the Browns?
Yeah, he played for the Browns and he coached for the Browns when he was with Martin Schottenheimer.
I didn't know that. That's kind of crazy.
Ozzie Newsome played for the Browns. Everybody who's been significant in AFC North history, they have played for the Browns. Like, that's the Browns' history for a very long time. It's like, the Bengals, Paul Brown. Yeah, you know where that started? Cleveland. The Ravens, whole franchise started in Cleveland. Or Pittsburgh. Yeah, you know how they got all that stability and they keep coaches for 20 years. I mean, it has something to do with Paul Brown at the beginning of it. It has something to do with Paul Brown. And then y'all hired another Cleveland man. Pittsburgh, just like Michigan, they ain't nothing without somebody from Ohio State. It's the same thing. We know how it is. But we keeping all that talent in Cleveland now. So watch out.
All right, J-Rod, we got to get to this one. Steelers and Bengals, I'm going to give you the floor because you showed up when the going was tough, and I think you deserve to get the floor for this one. So talk to us about this Steelers-Bengals game and your takeaways from it.
Yes, sir. This started off my Christmas. Very wonderful. The 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. So I think everybody was kind of elevated for that game. That's why I think it was pretty much like a different energy feel, and it was the last home game of the season too. So I think Pittsburgh really wanted to show off for that. Mason Rudolph came in the game, played amazing to me, making. And I think it was the game of his career. I think a lot of these quarterbacks. I don't think everybody except for Jake Browning pretty much had one of the greatest games of the season this year for them. But this was definitely Mason's, especially after not playing for 2 years. I think it was like 800 some games. I think he hadn't started or played in since then. Came in and played phenomenal. 17 for 27, 290, 2 touchdowns. I think he made great throws and was aggressive when he needed to be. Whereas though beforehand we couldn't get that from Mitch Trubisky and definitely not from Kenny Pickett. I think those two were kind of like playing tiptoeing through the offense, whereas though in addition to the offensive coordinators kind of like coddling them a little bit. I think Mason came in and he kind of really ain't had nothing to lose, and that's how he played. I think he played very smart, and I think he played with a lot of heart. One of the most underrated plays, in my opinion, was that third down conversion that he ran for in the red zone and scrambled for 7 yards, kind of put his head down and got that first down and continue that drive and get that touchdown on that drive. So I think that we had a great play selection. I think that on third, we like I was talking about the key to the game, we weren't as predictable. I think that we made those plays with though we were short 3rd and 1, and instead of kind of like throwing it short, we kind of like went for the long bomb on 2 of those, especially that one with George Pickens when he scored that touchdown. Beat that man-on-man coverage. So again, with the passing and the defense, great selection and execution, run plays with Najee and Warren combined with a little over 100, which was not that much, but I mean, they did what they needed to do, converting on the first downs and stuff in the second half when they needed to convert and to kind of keep that clock going. Amazing play by Jaylen Warren on that pancake block with Jermaine Pratt when Calvin Austin went in and scored that touchdown. That was definitely good to see after that whole calamity between him and GP last week about blocking and I will block for you, and GP kind of making an excuse about blocking. I think that set a tone and set a statement. I think that going into like next year and the year after that, when he's coming up on his rookie contract, people are going to try to throw that money at him, especially if he continues that play. 0 turnovers, which is what we needed. 0 turnovers offensively, no interceptions, no fumbles. I think both sides of the ball did a good time. I think running and passing, we did a good job of taking the ball and taking care of the ball. And defensively, we did a good job at taking the ball. I think that GP impressed me, of course. We all know where his potential is as far as his offensive explosion. Those 2 catches in the first half were amazing, and then the second catch that he had in the second half, which was the 66 yard passer, I think he just straight up torched the defense all game. Only negative that I came from offensively was that I think Mason missed on a couple of plays that could have been touchdown. I think he missed Calvin Austin on one that was wide open, and he definitely missed Deontay Johnson on a wide open touchdown. And the game could have been, even bigger than it was. Defensively, defense had a great game. I mean, of course, they forced 3 interceptions, sacked James Brown. I sacked Brown in 3 sacks with Watt, Highsmith, and Jack. The interceptions came from Peterson, and I don't know that first interception where Jay Brandon was trying to throw that in the end zone. I was scratching my head on that one because I think it was who's 16. I
It was
forget.
like he was trying to throw
Irwin.
it out, but then he didn't throw it out. He just like
Yeah,
floated.
Irwin and Tyler Boyd was kind of in the area, but I think they were both like 10, 15 yards away from where he could even like throw it. And the only people that was in the area was Steelers. I'll take that one. I'll take that one. Appreciate you. Merry Christmas. Thank you. But yeah, great. The second one by Rowe. Great read. I think that they did a good job of reading their defense. I think, and my keys last week were them playing the zone and not playing that man defense because they're going to get torched up. They're going to run crossing routes, and what they normally do with Jamar Chase is run crossing routes. Tyler Boyd and Higgins, and they jam people up across the middle to get them outside. And once they get the outside, they get that yak and they score. So I think they did a good job of confusing Jake Brown and running that zone, as well as mixing it in a little bit of blitz. Kind of coming up on those interceptions. Highsmith, I think that he did a great job of showing his pass coverage skills coming up, and his hands as well, coming up with that interception. And we also had a potential for 2 more turnovers. It was an interception that Miles Jack dropped, and it was a strip sack that TJ Watt got that offense that Cincinnati recovered. So I think we had a couple more turnovers then. I think defense did a good job of limiting Joe Mixon and Chase Brown. I think combined they had 15 for 59, so nothing too much on the ground. I think JPJ had a decent game. The clutch defense in the end zone to prevent that touchdown on the 4th down, while Cleveland, or Cincinnati was in the red zone. Shutting that down.
Tell me you talked about that 4th and inches play. Tell me that wasn't it.
Yeah, no, I think they was on a 5. I think, yeah. I think they was on a 5-yard line.
We're gonna talk about that one.
Yeah, I mean, technically, I think it could have been a penalty, but I think we was owed one, so they gave us that one. But realistically, like I said, JBJ had a decent game. I think they did a good job with shutting out Cincinnati in the first half, forcing those turnovers, not letting Cincinnati get into an offensive rhythm. And I think the only negative defensively were the lack of consistency at cornerback. I kind of don't like saying Levi Wallace out there. I'm not going to lie, because he's not aggressive enough for me. He doesn't make the tackles. He's never where he's supposed to be. He's always getting beat. Anytime he's on tape, he's never in position. And when he goes up, he'd almost look like a little kid. Like he's trying to just like bring him down to the ground kind of softly, but it's never aggressive enough. So special teams, Boswell did what he needed to do. Hit the 50 and the 30-yarder, and Presley Harvin punted the ball out to keep him out of good field goal position. I think overall, I love the demeanor and the philosophy of the team in this game, and they played with energy, aggression, and a passion and unity. They made smart plays. They played unselfish, fast, and physical.
Q, what were your thoughts on this game?
I want to ask J Rock a question real quick.
Sir.
Would you say like the godfather of the current era of the Pittsburgh Steelers is Chuck Noll?
The godfather of the, I mean, you can say that. You can say
yeah, because he brought in that's the guy that y'all hired, one that did the steel curtain, and then y'all got to Bill Cowher, and then that's how y'all take pride in that, right? The 3 coaches and everything. Hey man, you know where Chuck Noll from?
Oh, he must be from Ohio, Canton, Ohio, or something like that. Ain't he?
Oh no, not Canton, Cleveland, Ohio.
Wow.
Hey, you know where he played as a player? Learned everything he knows.
I'm sure it's Cleveland, Ohio.
For the Cleveland Browns. I'm just saying, dog, this division would be nothing without us. It's tough.
It's a story franchise. It's a story franchise. He's going all the way back to Jim Brown. So I got to give it to you.
Yeah. You know, I'm just saying. So shout out to the Browns. Everything you love about the AFC North comes from here. But Mason Rudolph, I thought he played really well in this one. Jake Brown had a bad game. Felt like it was due. Like I think we all were watching Jake Brown and like, unless we were getting lost in the sauce, we were like, because there's a difference between like playing good like Joe Flacco's playing, where it's like, yeah, he's still throwing interceptions though. So this looks like it might be just who he is. Whereas like Jake Browning was playing so good, you like, well, ain't no goddamn way this lasts. Like this is just, it felt fake. It didn't feel real. So I was like, I knew that Jake Browning was going to have himself a comeback to earth game. And I'm not going to lie to you, Ace. The second I saw that little clip of him screaming, they should have cut me. But the Vikings, I was like, the run's over. The run's over. Like he's peaked. He's definitely peaked. Like it's a wrap there, right? Like what you can usually tell when these moments happen at peak. And he handed all of his momentum to Mason Rudolph, who look, he's the first Steeler quarterback this year to realize that George Pickens is really good. That's all. Mason Rudolph was like, all right, we're George. They're George. I'll throw it to George. Like, that's it. And he only did it 4 times, was super effective in the game when he did it. Thought Mason played a really good game. The run game was also surprising from Pittsburgh because all year we've been talking about how Jaylen Warren needs to be taking these carries away from Najee. Najee outperformed Jaylen Warren like significantly in this one. So that was impressive to see out of Najee. It was just an impressive outing.
He also had the lion's share of the carries too.
Yeah, well, I mean, like even on average, right? I think Jaylen Warren was at like two a carry. Let me double check that. But Jaylen Warren did not have a great game in this one. I think he was at 3 yards a carry. Najee was at 4.1 in a touchdown. So it was impressive, especially given that he had double the carries, right? And he still had a higher average. So yeah, they got Allen Robinson involved.
That was crazy. That's when I knew it was going to be a long day. When Allen Robinson is out here. Oh, my God.
Yeah, when Allen Robinson get 30 yards on you, dog, it's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Switch the defense up.
Yeah, look. He didn't have to throw to that many people. He only had like 17 completions in this game, but he was very diligent with those completions out there. I think Allen Robinson probably got a lot of those targets because he's on the second team with Mason all year. So yeah, it's a good game from Pittsburgh. I felt like this is why I wanted to go with Pittsburgh in the pregame until you told me it was Mason Rudolph, because I was like, well, they kind of, it feels like they're due for like a bounce back game. Because Pittsburgh's not like a great team this year, but they're most certainly not like a 7-win team or something like that, like people were projecting them to be. They've been consistently like an 8 or 9 win team, so you knew that they were going to bounce back at some point. And this was a good bounce back point to them. I'm glad it happened against the Bengals. Like, not gonna lie, it wouldn't have been as fun if they did this against the Seahawks. Like, doing it against the Bengals makes it a little bit funner. But yeah, I think Pittsburgh had a good game. Like, if I'm Cincinnati, I wouldn't panic all the way about this. But the only thing that I would be kind of like concerned about if I'm Cincinnati is like, hey, I mean, Kansas City hasn't looked great, but it's still Kansas City. And they might have something to prove against you, and they got something kind of to prove now. So that might not be the greatest week to play Kansas City this week. And in Cleveland, it's just kind of been a thing with them. And we know Myles Garrett loves going against Jonah Williams, and it looked like Jonah's getting ready to do that thing to Myles. You know what I mean? Get ready to let Myles through for a couple. Hey, I need Jonah Williams to have a big week that week because I need Myles to get that Defensive Player of the Year. He's gonna have to get it all Jonah.
They better have that good game, like I said, with Jonah Williams and who was the other guy, Orlando Brown, giving up them sacks like that, giving up that pressure like that. They cracked real bad.
It was a lot of gifts.
There was a long
Christmas
day
Eve from the Cincinnati Bengals, man. I mean, to be honest, the most frustrating thing about this is, not just losing, the fact that everybody that you needed to lose, for the most part, lost this past weekend. That's one of the reasons the Bengals are still alive. But they just came out, and they've done this several times, I feel like, throughout the season, where if they feel like they're just going to have the advantage on a team, or if a team is looking like they're wounded coming in, it just seems like they just cruise line whatever the practice and the game plan is. And they go into these games, and they get punched in the mouth. And that's immediately what seemed to happen in Pittsburgh. They didn't come in aggressive at all. They come into this game, and we're expecting, okay, it's Mason Rudolph. The knees are a little wobbly for Pittsburgh because there's a lot of infighting and this and that. This is the perfect time for you to go in there. And guess what? they got knocked out. This was a Mike Tyson style knockout by the Pittsburgh Steelers to the Cincinnati Bengals. And it was a rude awakening. I think, like you said, a lot of people predicted Jake Browning would go back down to earth. I thought that he would too, but when he beat Minnesota and that good defense, that gave me some fake faith. I was like, okay, he's doing this against a defense like that. That's Flores. And I was like, well, maybe he's going to figure it out with the Steelers because he definitely didn't look like he did the first matchup. It was even worse in this one. Like J-Rock is saying, he couldn't tell whether it was man or zone. And it just seemed like every time I was looking up at Jake Brown and he was handing the ball over to the other team. He has the first weird interception where it's like, okay, is he throwing it out? No, he just threw it to somebody in the end zone. Like takes any chance of points off of the board. And I think I was reading through the drives earlier. Like they had absolutely no drives. It was a lot of interceptions, a lot of punts. They only scored in the third quarter of this game, dog. They only scored in one quarter in the entire game. However, as soon as they got that ball to George Pickens, this game was over. I mean, Cincinnati, we've watched this defense this entire season give up explosive play after explosive play. They have got to be leading the league and giving up explosive plays, and they give it up to one of the offenses that before this game really only had like a 5 to 7% explosive play rate. And they ended up doing this against this team in the NFL. And if you can't stop Mason Rudolph and any of these guys, you can't stop nobody. You can't stop anybody, though. Like it's been like that for this defense this season. They have just had these lapses where they just give up plays, and it just seems like that's all that they were doing in this game. You talk about George Pickens, 86 yards. He had another one, I think, for like 60 yards, and he had another one for 40 yards. It was like George Pickens, and this defense, I just don't have faith in it anymore. Like I get it. They've had some plays where they've made the play, but this season is a little different. If they don't get that turnover, they're getting cooked. They're getting cooked. Like it's either turnover or, hey, I'm giving up another 30, 40, 50-yard pass. It's been times this season where we're seeing these guys on like 3rd and 17, and they're giving up the first down off of that. This game was a rude awakening for that defense. Like I get it. DJ Reader's there. But at the end of the day, dog, and I rock with DJ, great player. Yeah, dog, he's not stopping no 86-yard pass completion to George Pickens. Like, I don't know if it's communication from the safeties, the linebackers. As they mentioned, both linebackers didn't have a great game at all whatsoever. Whole defensive unit didn't have a great game whatsoever.
Well, to my knowledge, they had a rookie on GP and then wanted to play man defense.
Well, so the rookie this year, he's been pretty good, but in that situation, yeah, like I mean, to DJ Turner's to his credit, he's been really good. He's been one of the best corners. I actually would probably trust him more than Cheeto, but as you guys saw, Cheeto was a flaming hot Cheeto in this matchup. He was getting torched all over the place. DJ Turner, like. Yeah, he got killed on that, and then Dax Hill jumps into him too on that play. Like it just really wasn't the look that you need from this defense, and we've been seeing it this entire year. GP had a hell of a game. I think from a run defense standpoint, I don't even really think you guys needed to run the ball. Like to be honest, I don't even think you really needed to establish the run. Which coming into this game, that's what we kind of expected, and I think Pittsburgh, from a coaching standpoint. They took the thing and they're like, okay, Zach Taylor and company's expecting us to run this pill probably about 30 or 40 times. How about we actually hit them with the reverse of that with Mason Rudolph going over the top? And Cincinnati had no answer for it. They had absolutely no answer for it whatsoever. They got out-coached in this game. Zach Taylor, I talk about the Zach Taylor cycle. He has a bad game. And then people criticize him, and then what happens? He will have a couple of good games, and then he will do something to make you think, like, what the hell is this guy thinking? Like, why is he trying to outsmart himself in this game? 4th and inches. This is not changing the game whatsoever. So don't take this if you guys are watching this like, oh, Ace is saying this changes the game. No. This is just basic football. On the only drive that you had, I mentioned how you had all of these interception drives, punt drives. on I think it was a 74-yard or 80-yard drive.
Mm-hmm.
You get down to the 5-yard line.
Mm-hmm.
When last week you just did a similar thing with Joe Mixon last week against the Vikings to win the game. You tried to give the ball to Joe Mixon on 3rd and goal. He got stuffed. You gave it to him on 4th and goal, and he was able to get in to put you up. On 3rd and goal, you go to Joe Mixon and you get no gain, and you have inches to get. You come out and shotgun on 4th and inches. Shotgun, not under center like Zach. I could get it if you lined up under center and you did a play action and then you trying to hit a tight end or something. No, you came out there and shotgun, dog, on 4th and inches. Zach Taylor, what are we doing, man? What are we doing in 4th and inches? You coming and lining up. You know what it reminded me of? The Super Bowl. Because we did the same damn thing in the Super Bowl, 4th and inches. Hey, let me line up in shotgun and do my thing here. I just couldn't understand it. I will say this. I think he did call a pretty decent game. They just weren't able to execute in the red zone. They weren't able to get there. Anytime they got into any kind of distance to do anything, they threw a turnover. And you got to give credit to the Steelers, bro. Like, I can sit here and talk all day about what the Bengals did wrong, but the Steelers being without their starting 2 safeties still were able to hold it together and do their thing in this. So Cincinnati, I'm looking at you like, what are we doing, dog? Like, we can't go into Kansas City and do that. You can't go into Cincinnati against the Browns and do that. Luckily, you're still alive just because of the way things played out, but you're still not guaranteed any kind of point. You would have done yourself a favor by trying to get a win here, but you didn't do that. So now the ball is back in their court. We'll have to see what happens. The only bright spot in this game, T. Higgins had a good game. He looked like T. Higgins. I mean, that's what I kind of expected from T. Higgins. He had a long reception in that game. I think he had over 150 yards. A couple touchdowns, and then
I just say that 80-yarder coming right out of the second half.
Yeah, and then George Pickens right back again. It was like, all right, here we got something going. Oh nope, there he is, George Pickens again on this defense that has not been good this season. So you got something there. You showed something with Andre Josephus. You didn't really you couldn't really run the ball because this game was out of hand early. It was embarrassing, and it was on national TV for everyone to see. So just when you thought the Bengals could have made this push to get to the playoffs, now your back is up against the wall, and you're going and taking on a Kansas City team that is mad right now. They just lost in an upset fashion to the Raiders. So we'll see where this goes, dog. But I'm extremely disappointed in the defense, extremely disappointed in Jake Browning and his coaching staff for sleepwalking into this game. When you sleepwalk and you sleep on opponents, that is what happens. It's a week-to-week league. You can't sleep on anybody. Shout out to the Steelers. They earned that W. There's nothing that I can say. They swept us. People going to sit there and say, oh, it's Joe Burrow. Now, I will say this. I was kind of surprised that the Steelers fans celebrated it the way that they did, because I'm used to y'all sweeping us and not really caring about it. But it seemed like it was some extra juice.
Because this one meant something. This one meant something. Like I said, not only was it the probably the energy and the spirit of Franco Harris with the immaculate reception, but I mean, it had playoff implications. It was, of course, a rivalry division game, and then not to add on top of that, it was
on national TV.
But then again, we was down and out from the last 3 weeks. You know what I'm saying? So to add on top of that with a third string quarterback who you didn't really believe in, from the jump, there's a lot of sauce on that.
Ain't dead type of vibe. Okay, I understand it now. Okay, I was gonna say, man, because I just remember a time where we used to be the ones that was like, I'm trying to sweep the Steelers, whether we go to the playoffs or not. I don't care. But shout out to the Steelers, man. They came out, took care of business. That's why you don't fire Tomlin. That's the fire Tomlin stuff is ridiculous, man. I mean, this was
do it. Please do it.
I was never an advocate for that. I was never an advocate for
I am. Fire Tomlin. Please fire Tomlin.
I
want that. Yeah, go ahead. Get rid of him.
You just got to establish house rules, man. Just establish them house rules, and I guarantee all them problems going to be gone.
Yes, sir. So let's go ahead and wrap up these super chats here. Deshaun Davis, $4.99 super chat. Y'all hear how mad Richard Sherman is. The Ravens win has been a hard pill for him to swallow. I don't watch mainstream sports media, so I don't know. I know Richard Sherman. Sometimes his takes be off. I guess he must have had some bad things to say about the Ravens. Colin Keith, $4.99 super chat. Q. How deep of a playoff run can the Browns make with virtually no run game and a crippled O line? Also, F the Steelers.
It depends on how well the defense plays.
The Steelers after the Bengals this week, so I mean,
It depends on how good the defense plays, right? If the defensive line is playing at a high level, then it's not going to matter as much. I mean, you could just again look at the Denver Broncos in 2015, no run game whatsoever that year. They were able to make it work. So what's going to carry this team is the defense, and if the defense can play at a level of an all-time elite defense, then yeah, you'll be fine. But that's what it's going to require.
Blarso here for $2. Browners is better than Purdy. He's a backup at best. I don't know. That's kind of crazy, man. The Brock Purdy man.
We're going too far. We're going too far. He's gonna have a good game, and then people gonna be trying to put this. This is what happens, right? People put Brock Purdy on a pedestal he doesn't belong. Then he gets knocked off, and people are so tired of him being on a pedestal that he didn't belong that we start throwing him lower than he deserves. And then he has a good game, and then what do people do? See, y'all said he was a backup. Let's go ahead and put him back on MVP, right? And then we keep doing this shit all over again. Can we just admit Brock Purdy's like the 13th best quarterback in the NFL and leave it at that?
Mighty Mulatto, $2 super chat says Stefanski defense and traffic 11 cones on offensive coach of the year.
Yeah, Kevin Stefanski. Yeah, on offensive, he's coach of the year.
Yeah. All right. Bradley C. Strand, $5 super chat. You get a mixed bag with Flacco. He will always want the big play, but it's also why the Browns can recover from mistakes quickly.
Yep, absolutely. I agree. Go Browns.
Aaron D. $4.99 super chat says, "What's up, fellas? I'm up late, but did anyone talk about how Amari Cooper led the AFC North in receiving yards last year and is on track to do it again?"
You got that gunsling out there trying to play for his career and play for his life. It probably look like that.
Wonder what happened last year.
Amari Cooper.
Wonder what happened last year.
What did happen last year?
Jamar Chase missing 5 games? Was that?
Hey, bro. They ain't got nothing to do with Amari. You know what I mean? Amari was hurt too. He just played through that joint. You know what I mean? Just out here muscling through, got core surgery at the end. No
disrespect to Amari Cooper though, because he's a dog. I ain't gonna take away from what he's doing there.
1250 right now.
And Houday $4.99 super chat. Why can't we convert over the middle? It seems like it's our weakness on defense. Also, we needed more of a pass rush. Yeah, man. They just getting whatever they want in that area of the field, dog. It's open. They talk about Jamar Chase, always open. Now, that defense is always open, dog. It's always open wherever you want to get a big play, especially in the middle. We do need more pass rush, man. It's just Trey Hendrickson by itself, man. Maybe some BJ Hill sprinkled in there. We've got to get more consistent there. I think outside of him and BJ Hill, you're not getting much. I expected more from Sam Hubbard, expected some more from Miles Murphy. Now that they're finally giving him some reps, we getting nothing from Joseph Osai, who's barely playing. So yeah, we'll have to see what they do with the pass rush. But outside of Trey Hendrickson, dog, it's nothing there. And when he went out for this game momentarily, it just literally was nothing after that. So that is gonna wrap it up. Before we get out of here, make sure you guys follow the co-host. You can follow Quincy at QuinC_C on Twitter. Make sure that you follow J-Rock. I think you're on the gram, right?
I'm on the gram, and it's spelled
on the gram. We're gonna get him a Twitter though. We're gonna get him on Twitter, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna get on.
Yeah, we got to get him adjusted to the times like the Steelers offense. We're gonna get him on that Bengals Steelers game plan in the future. And then you can follow me on Twitter at New Stripe City. This has been AFC North Talk. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you guys likely Thursday or Friday. So hit that notification bell, and we'll see you guys soon.
All right. Night.